Hello. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Collide Kids podcast, hosted by Kristen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey, y'all. Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Collide Kids podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Clark. The Collide Kids podcast is a show for kids and families where we learn together how life and faith collide. I am so glad to have you listening today. Thank you for being here and spending this time with me. Be sure to listen to the end of every episode. That's where I have the kids only segment where kids just like you get to be on the podcast. Well, I hope that you guys enjoy today's episode. And if you do, I would love for you to share this episode with someone you know, maybe a friend or some family members or a cousin or someone on your sports team that would really enjoy a podcast for their family. And be sure to follow us on social media where you can learn all about upcoming episodes and guests. And also there's some information about my Amazon gift guides and Collide Kids merch store with lots of fun t-shirts, stickers, and mugs. You know, today's episode is going to be the last full episode of 2023. I can't believe it's almost over and we are about to walk into a new year. I have some very exciting things and some really fun guests coming up in the new year in 2024, and I can't wait for you to hear those. So be sure to subscribe to this podcast so that you know when the next episode comes out. And since it is the Christmas season, we will take a little break and we'll be back in a few weeks after Christmas. Well, I did say this is the last full episode because next week's episode comes out right before Christmas Day, and it's a very special Christmas episode with all kids. There's no adults except for me. I'm going to give you a little intro, and then all kids are taking over the show. So I hope you'll tune in and check out this really fun Christmas Eve episode. Well, speaking of fun, I am delighted to share with you our guest today. His name is Anthony Russo. He is a pastor, comedian, and the creator of The Bible is Funny, an Instagram, podcast, and now card game that explores the curious, lesser-known sections of the Bible. You guys, this episode had me laughing so hard, my cheeks were hurting. It was so fun and so funny, and I love talking with my new friend, Anthony. So here it is. This is my conversation with Anthony Russo. Well, Anthony Russo, I am so excited to have you on the Collide Kids podcast today.
It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I love this. And Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas. I don't understand that. Like, as Americans speaking in English language, why we don't say Happy Christmas. And our more proper English friends say Merry Christmas, but they say Happy Christmas.
It's all been confusing to me. There's got to be better ways for us
That's true.
to say, hope you have a good Happy New Year, Happy 4th of July. It's happy everything.
Everything else. I know.
But then it's Merry.
Yeah.
It has to be a Merry Christmas.
I feel like we're just really big fans of Scrooge. So we hold on to that story so hardcore.
Never change it. That's it. He said, Merry Christmas, never change it.
We're sticking with that one.
Not open for discussion.
Right. Well, would you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Of course. My name is Anthony Russo. I am the creator of The Bible is Funny as a big old project. Started as an Instagram account. I mean, honestly, it actually started as a blog. And then for our younger listeners, blogs were these things we used to write on the internet 100 years ago. Started as a blog, and then it became an Instagram account, and now it's a podcast. I got to write a devotional book. I got to create a card game, and The Bible is Funny as a project. In it, we explore interesting, curious, funny, off the beaten path parts of the Bible. So it kind of all originated. I had kind of a moment in my faith where I was like, I talk a lot about the Bible. I tell other people to read the Bible, and there are whole chunks of the Bible I am incredibly unfamiliar with. I'm like, I don't know what's going on in there. And it really struck me that I was like, this is funny because this would be so ridiculous about any other book, right? You'd be like, if you're like, no, I'm a diehard Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe fan. I love it. And they're like, oh, have you read all of it? No, I haven't read all of it, but I love it. I build my life on that thing. And you're like, well, you should read the whole thing then. I just felt like it was this moment that I was like, well, I need to kind of explore it. And so I've been doing comedy since I was 15 years old. I started doing comedy on stage. And so it kind of became a blend of these two things. I wanted to know the Bible more. And, God made me in a way to like to do comedy and find funny things in the stuff I'm experiencing. And so these two things came together to form The Bible is Funny.
I love that. And I don't know that many people acknowledge that the Bible is funny. So that's exciting. I'm excited to talk to you about this today. But before we do that, because this is a show for kids, I always make my guests tell me a joke. So I feel like this would be pretty simple for you because that's your whole shtick is you're a funny guy. So do you have a good joke for us today?
It's a show for kids, and you want me to do a joke, and I got to give you a joke that was given to me from one of my kids.
Okay.
I have 2 kids. This was given to me by my oldest kid, and the joke is this. What do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhino?
An elephant and a rhino? I don't know.
Elephino.
Well, that's true.
He delivered this to me on the way home from school one day, and it took me a minute, and then I was just like, that is quite the
Killer.
joke, buddy.
I love it.
And he delivered it perfectly. And you're like, there it is.
There it
There's
is.
my joke for you.
I like it. I like it a lot. Well, that's so fun. Okay, so you have 2 kids. How old are they?
I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Now, when my kids were 5, they were all about the knock-knock jokes. That was the thing.
Yeah.
But they couldn't deliver the punchline correctly or tell it in the order it was supposed to go. So it was just a smattering of knock-knock joke information.
Right. There's that. My oldest likes to kind of like learn jokes and recite them. Like he wants to like, he's real kind of like by the book by nature. And so he has like books or whenever he gets to present a joke to us, he really likes it. And my youngest, he likes to invent jokes
Yes.
that often don't really like make any sense at all.
And then they say, get it? And you're like, nope.
And we try to make it make sense. Like, what did the squirrel say to the tree? And you'll come up with a couple like, I don't know, cheesy dad joke type answers. And he'll be like, I don't like cheese on my salad. And you're like, I don't know why that conversation happened. But we do end up laughing a lot at the jokes he comes up with because you're like, okay,
There you go.
it is.
That works. So you said earlier that you were into jokes. You were into comedy when you were at 15. So how did that get started? What was it about comedy and being up on stage that you like so much?
Oh, that's a question I should probably unpack like in counseling at some point. But I don't really fully know the answer. I know, so I was struck very early on by a show on TV called Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, yeah.
Where they would do improv comedy. It was my first kind of experience with improv comedy. And then by the weirdest set of circumstances, it just gets weirder every time I say it. My church had an improv comedy team at the church. We are close to I don't want to say it's a famous comedy school because it's in Orlando, Florida. It's actually where Wayne Brady, the comedian, went, and he was there for a little while. And it's called SAC Comedy Lab in Orlando. And there was a group of people from our church, people in the college ministry, who went out, learned how to do this thing, and then brought it back and started doing it at the church, started doing shows for the community to come out to. So just in the most bizarre, you wouldn't believe me unless I actually lived it. A church had a comedy team, started with the college team, then they ended up making a high school team. So it was this like platform for me to get up in front of my friends and do funny things and try to make them laugh. And
All right, I'm going to blow your mind. So when I was in college, I went to Liberty University and I was a part of a ministry team that traveled on the weekends. It was called Youth Quest. So we would travel with a worship band and I was on the improv team.
come on.
And we would perform for youth groups to like set up the worship set.
Yes. Youth Quest.
Youth Quest, yes. So that's not weird to me at all that you had you were on an improv team.
Same.
Yeah, that's what we did in the 90s and early 2000s.
It was way more of a thing. And usually it's improv for some of the listeners. A lot of your favorite comedians have done improv at some point. Like,
Right.
Will Ferrell has an improv background. Like, people have improv backgrounds, but it's not typically like they're not famous for their improv work. But it is so fun to do. Like, I have so much fun. A lot of my best friendships were formed from my early years of doing improv. Because you really are like in this trust with the person you're doing a
Right.
scene with that you are each other's only hope. There's nothing written.
Right. For people that don't know, it's you just make it up as you go. So they'll give you a
Yes.
topic or a line. My favorite was props. So the leader or whatever would gather a bunch of props from their youth group room, and then we would just act out a play based on the props
Yes.
in the basket for 5 minutes. It was just like an epic
I love that.
10 minutes of pretend time.
Yeah. And you're doing this with someone or a couple people in the scene with you, and you just, the bonds form.
Yes.
Because you're like, we got to stick through this. Sometimes the scene's not going very well at all. And you're like, I don't know how we're going to get out of this. But you're, it's great. So that's how when I was 15, I was doing improv.
Okay.
I did a national tour. When I was 16, I did my first national tour with a group called Isaac Improv.
Okay.
And then traveled with them. We actually still travel periodically. Tim and I do that. And so we'll do a couple events a year where we'll do improv for nonprofit fundraising events or volunteer banquets or college campuses, that kind of thing.
Nice. So this is telling me right now, all the people that did improv for a while, now they're on Instagram.
That's where we ended up.
That's where we all ended up. Yeah, because I was telling you earlier, my personal account has turned into a meme account where I just share funny things and funny stories and videos that I find. And a lot of the stuff that you post is really funny. That sounded kind of like some of it's not, but no, your stuff's really funny.
That did sound like the beginning of a compliment sandwich.
Your stuff
you know?
is all right.
A lot of the stuff you do is good. Now, I brought you into the office today to talk to you about these other parts.
That's how we encourage and constructively criticize. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I do like your stuff. So how did you get started? You started making videos and posts about funny things in the Bible. How did that start?
Yeah, it's such a funny kind of journey because I started, like I told you, I was kind of exploring the Bible, and the Bible exploration part was about 3 years of just like very slowly going through and making notes and doing all this stuff. So I had jotted down all these verses and these passages and these little stories that would be sandwiched into a book that don't get talked about a lot or won't come up in a Sunday sermon because there's not a whole lot there, and they're kind of like just funny, and some of them are just really curious and not quite sure what to do with it when you initially read it. And so I'd been doing all that, and then I started writing these blogs, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. Everyone's gonna love my blogs. I was so pumped about my blogs. So I was writing these blogs just about the funny stuff in the Bible and why I thought it was funny. And then I thought a little site called Instagram was starting out, and so I thought I'm going to occasionally just to be like little kindling for the fire of the blogs, I'm going to do Instagram posts. And so I was doing that for a while and then very quickly discovered the Instagram posts were a lot more popular than the blog posts ever were. And so I started pivoting more towards like the creative energy of the Instagram post, started doing memes there. And then there became some really fun ways that you could do these little short videos. I've always loved putting on costumes. I have a lot of wigs that I'll rock. I'm a bald man, so it's one of our benefits. One of the few benefits of being bald is you can throw on a wig, and it's like,
and it works great.
It works better than most, right? I have no hair to fight with, so
right.
You can just toss on a wig. So I would do little Bible characters and do little skits and do little now we do like a lot of video memes, but. The creative process, was this journey of like, I thought this was going to go great. And then it ended up, this was this little awesome thing I discovered accidentally and then started doing more of that. And then for a while I was like not doing memes because I was like, I'm not a meme page. I'm comedically superior to meme pages. And then I had a friend reach out and say like, hey, you should just make these memes because the way you're doing it now is ridiculous. And I was like, you're exactly right. Actually, yes,
Okay.
That's what I'm going to start doing.
Nice.
And then I fully embraced the meme life and did that for a long time. And then the kind of the fun part of the story, the blogs I was so into when I first started ended up being a lot of the content that I was able to use for the devotional book that I published 2 years ago. So it was a full circle moment.
Always good when we can recycle content.
I say it jokingly, but I was also like, I was pouring a lot of myself into these
Sure.
blogs no one was reading. And I think as a creative person or anybody exerting creative energy, you're like, sometimes you're like, what's it for? Nobody cares.
Right.
And a lot of times that stuff, if you love everything you're doing your best at it, it can come around and be helpful at another time.
Yeah. So I love that you're able to take what you've already done and create a devotional. And you also created a game. Can you tell us about the game?
Yes, absolutely. So we created a card game, kind of like a party card game. So if you've ever done Apples to Apples or played What Do You Meme,
Mm-hmm.
it plays a lot like those games. So what we do is we've written prompts like something my mom would say, or, one of them is Bob the tomato turned to Larry the cucumber and said something like that. And then we have this whole deck of like wildly out of context Bible verses. Like these Bible verses are just completely out of their natural habitat. And we've put them into these fun little cards. And so you try to match this wildly out of context Bible verse with the prompt and see who can make the funniest match. And it's been amazing. I love, people send me pictures all the time of them playing it with their family. I had somebody just last night send me a picture of them with their small group playing it. It's so fun. I really had a passion I wanted to make a game like this in this kind of style that was fun, funny. A lot of, sometimes Christian stuff doesn't end up as funny as I'd like it to be.
Sure.
It can err on the side of cheesy sometimes.
Right.
So I was very committed to I want it to be funny. But then I also didn't want it to be like gross feeling. Like if you ever played those type of games, sometimes they are funny, but they are like, you don't want to play them with your parents because you're like, nah, I'm uncomfortable about the topics that are being broached. So that's another thing I'm very proud of with the game is we have people who are like, yes, it's like a whole young adult small group. They loved it. But then you'll also get like, a month ago, is getting a lot of like, my family was together for Thanksgiving and we played your game. And everybody loved it. Grandma loved it. And this 13-year-old kid we played with, everybody had a great time. So very, very proud of the game. Got to work with an incredible team to put it all together. And it's so fun.
Yeah. So I got a copy of it and we played it over Thanksgiving as well. So it was my 11-year-old up to my parents and everybody in between. And we were rolling. Like we were laughing so hard. It was so funny. And my sister kept saying, okay, that's my new life verse. And then another one come out. She's like, now that's my new life verse. So there was so many good things about it. Or they're like, that's in the Bible? Like people were shocked that, this statement or whatever. So I think it's so good.
One of the real passions like behind everything I do with the Bible is funny is like I want people to have these positive, joy-filled experiences with the Bible. And that was really like a lot of my heartache was I was watching a lot of people's first experience with the Bible was like really harsh and negative, and they had all these kind of preconceived notions with it. And I would point out like it's so when we introduce the Bible to kids, we're so like it's coloring, it's creative, it's storytelling, it's all like approachable and fun and like it's great, right? And so I was watching a lot of my friends, a lot of people I knew that would come to the Bible later in life, and they're like kind of just getting like it thrown at them, basically. Like, you got to do this, and you got to do this, and you got to change this, you got to stop doing that. And I was like, I just don't see a reason why there can't, not to ignore the parts of the Bible that, call us to grow and to change, but to also include the parts that are fun and you can find joy in them and you can have a positive interaction with it. So every time I hear people playing the game and having a great time, it just fills my heart right up.
Yeah, that's so good. So let's talk a little bit about the Christmas story because, Christmas is right around the corner. What are some things about the Christmas story that maybe you found funny or interesting?
I mean, the most funny part to me about the Christmas story actually is kind of like right after the Christmas story.
Okay.
But I think it's in Luke 2. So you get this like beautiful story and this great like telling of Mary having a sense of like bringing the Messiah into the world, and then the shepherds show up. And I love these lines like Mary stored all of this in her heart. Like you could tell there was a sense, there's like a song, Mary, Did You Know? Yeah. And it's like this great tension of like, how could she have possibly known fully?
Right.
But she clearly knew something. She's a part of this really big, beautiful thing. And then in Luke 2, she literally loses her kid. She loses track of her kid. And it's like every parent is like, yeah, we've all
That's
had
happened.
a moment where we're at, Target and we go, wait a second, there's supposed to be a kid here. But she has like the savior of the world. And this has kind of been brought to her attention. This is like, hey, a lot riding on this kid. So if you could,
hang on to him.
He's going to be, you just keep your eye on him. That'd be great for everybody. And then in Luke 2, it's like, again, I want to say it's Luke 2. I'm pretty confident. Like right after the Christmas story, though, it's like in the gospel narrative, it's like the next story. They're traveling and it's your classic, like it seems to me,
Mhm.
Mary thinks that Jesus was with Joseph. Joseph thinks that Jesus was with Mary. And then they look at each other. And then the other great part about it is it's so similar to the plot from Home Alone.
Right. Kevin!
Like it's this, we traveled for 2 days, I think is even the line of the Bible. And they look at each other and go, Kevin!
Or
And
Jesus!
they have to turn around and get him. Jesus! They have to turn around and go get him. So that's always been, whenever I do the Christmas story, that's a part that always fills me up with a lot of joy. I also always really appreciate the jokes about the little drummer boy who's not in the Bible.
Yes.
We all know this.
Right.
I don't feel like I have to state it, but I will. But even just the premise of like anybody that's had a baby and like how the last thing you want
Someone to
is somebody
play
to
the
be
drum.
drumming at you as a presentation. Like I haven't slept in
Here you go.
days.
Yes.
Now I have just
My
a single
gift.
snare drum being played at me.
It was a light tapping. It said rum pum pum. So it wasn't too hard, but still.
No version of it. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be speaking on this. Maybe we need to take a poll of new moms and just their hierarchy of needs. Where is a drum solo?
Where's the drummer?
At that point.
Bring the drummer in.
Right.
That was the last thing I said at the hospital when I had my kids. Bring the drummer in.
Is everyone healthy? You can bring the drummer now. That's fantastic. I'm ready.
I'm ready. Let's do it. That's so true. Yeah, a lot of the Christmas songs like that are pretty funny. Like if you really think about the words.
Right.
And we sing them out and we're like, yes, but like, I don't know. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Now bring out some figgy pudding. And I sang that my heart out in my Christmas concert as a kid. I had no idea what figgy pudding is.
No clue. Or why I'm not usually this bossy with adults, right? Now bring me some snacks.
Well, I don't know. Kids today are a little bossy.
Maybe more so. Back in my
Dial
day,
it back a little bit.
we would never have said, now bring me out a snack pack and bring it right here.
Right.
I'm not walking anywhere.
That's right. We're not going anywhere until you bring us the figgy pudding.
Oh, it really is. The 12 Days of Christmas would be another go-to. You're just like, what are we even talking about?
Why are there so many birds?
There's so many birds. Why?
Now, I have heard that the 12 Days of Christmas is like a allegory or metaphor for something about Jesus, but I don't see it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That would be a leap for me. That would be a Lord of leaping.
A Lord of leaping.
To get from that.
Well, because like the partridge in the pear tree I think is supposed to symbolize Jesus, I think. 2 turtle doves. That was in the Bible. That was like a offering they would give.
Oh, I think that's right. Yeah.
What's
Old
the
Testament.
third one? 3 birds of
calling birds.
That's the Trinity. 4. Now I can't
French
remember.
hens.
I have no idea what the French hens are doing there. That's as far as I got.
At the Bible is Funny on Instagram, please send me the 12 Days of Christmas and why it's a Christian thing. Because I want to see
Jesus.
it. Because as of now, I have it filed under utter nonsense.
With a lot of bird. Well, that's why it's a lot of nonsense, because usually allegories and metaphors don't connect so hard. So
you start with the birds and then you get to the people, and that raises concerns. Like, why are we giving people to other people? And who needs that many maids of milking?
Right.
Like, how do they have the cows to justify this kind of staff?
Right.
Swans are swimming. Do they also fly? There's so many questions that you have when you do the 12 Days of Christmas.
So
Day.
true.
You're like, what am I doing with this song?
And why do we sing it at church? I've sung it at church a couple times.
You've sung it at church?
Yeah.
Wow. That's the whole worship set. I got to tell you that. That we're not doing any other songs that day.
Maybe it was for the kids, but still, like it's still one of those questions we all have. Now, what is your favorite Christmas song, if you had to think of one? We'll be right back after this. Raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code COLLIDEKIDS to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app.
Oh man, my favorite Christmas song. Honestly, I'm a little bit of a I like the kind of like traditional vibe of like a Christmas Eve service and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like O Come, O Come, Emmanuel.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's high on my list, but I get more drawn in. I've already started into like Lauren Daigle's Christmas album. I really love. There's specific Christmas albums. John McLaughlin has a great Christmas album that I love to revisit when it's Christmas time.
Nice. I like those. I'm with you. I like the hymns, like Angels We Have Heard on High and Silent Night. I feel like Away in a Manger was done too many times in too many Christmas pageants as a kid. So I like naturally roll my eyes whenever I hear Away in a Manger. Nothing against the song. It's like once you hear it too many times, you're like, I can't sing this song one more time.
Yeah, I had that a little. I'm coming out of it now, but Oh Holy Night was hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
At the church I grew up at, and there was a period of time where I was like, there's others.
There's other songs.
There's others. This is great.
But that's the song where
else.
people can really show their vocal ability. So you're going to get that one a lot. If you got a really good soloist at your church, you're going to get the Oh Holy Night.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And you're gonna do that intro a very certain way. It's its own thing, and it's great. It's great. It's a great song.
Yeah.
But I had to take a couple years off of Oh Holy Night.
I understand. Now, what about Christmas movies? What would you say is your favorite Christmas movie?
Now, we're a big Christmas Vacation family.
Same.
Which is, for the kids podcast, it's not good for the kids.
Got to watch the TV version.
You've got to do this. That's a word right there.
Hallelujah.
You think you're like, it's a sweet movie, right? And then you get into it with your kid and you're like, well, let's go back to the Grinch.
Yes.
But that's up there. My top 3 is probably that one. Wow, it's so hard. I love Elf. I love Jim Carrey's Grinch.
Mm-hmm.
I quote that movie constantly.
That's a good one.
And then the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. I'm a sucker for the original Santa Claus.
Nice.
And I think I would argue that the graphics still hold up when the reindeer materializes in the North Pole. I'm like, this is made in like 1987, and this is fantastic.
Was it in 1987?
No, it was definitely the 90s.
It was later 90s.
But yeah, it was like almost the 2000s. The graphics hold up. That's all I'm saying.
Do,
Buddy
they
the
do.
Elf, my favorite depiction of elves. It's not Buddy the Elf, is it? No, Buddy's from Will Ferrell's Elf.
Right.
Bernard.
That's right. Bernard.
The head elf. Fantastic.
He was great.
Just great.
Yep. I'll say my favorite movies, definitely Elf is up there just because Smiling's my favorite. And so I love Elf. I'm a big fan of White Christmas. My poor family, we have to watch that while we decorate the house. So as soon as that turns on, Bing Crosby is singing to us while we decorate.
Yeah.
So that's definitely up there. And then my new favorite that I didn't think I would ever have room in my heart for more Christmas movies, but my new favorite is The Christmas Chronicles. Have you seen that with Kurt Russell?
Yes, 1 or 2. Do you have a preference?
I like the first one. I like the first one a lot. But yeah, I'm like, I really like this movie. I didn't think I would. You can't top some of these classic Christmas movies, but that's my new favorite right now.
We're playing that all the time in our house, man. My kids love Chris. That's the one they request.
Yeah,
all the time.
It's a good one.
I have to mention Home Alone too. I'm literally sitting here kicking myself. How do you not mention Home Alone?
Yes, 1 or 2.
1 and 2 are great. I would say 1 for me. It's 1 then 2.
Okay,
but the gap is very small. Like
true
for a sequel. You know what I mean?
That's a
Most
good
people
sequel.
You're like, the sequel is no good. Speaking of Tim Allen, the Santa Claus, boy, 1
rough
is it.
Yeah,
do not go from 2
1.
on. No offense to everybody involved, but we really...
I don't think they're listening. It's okay.
We were not close. We got it with 1, and we were not close ever again. So yeah. Home Alone 1 and 2 are fantastic. And Christmas Chronicles, Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. Like, what a weird combo that you're like, that doesn't sound right. But
he nailed it.
He crushed it.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah.
We watched that all season.
Well, Anthony, this has been so fun. I love talking with you and getting to know you and all your Bible is funny stuff. I guess it's fair to say it's okay sometimes to take the Bible out of context. It's kind of the premise of your whole thing, but it's a good thing and it's a lot of fun.
That's our big thing. Is the stated intent. This is out of context. We're stating it. A lot of people take the Bible out of context and try to like mislead people. And that's not what we do here.
Right.
We take it out of context for funsies, for giggles, to make people go, I can't believe that's in the Bible. But none of this is to be taken Seriously,
That's right.
It's all for funsies.
All for fun. And it's so good. It's so good to laugh and to be able to learn at the same time. So that's quite an accomplishment that we're all still learning and still growing in our faith. So thanks for being on here today and sharing. Can you tell our listeners today where they can find out more about you and the Bible is Funny?
Yes. So the Instagram is @theBibleIsFunny. We also have a podcast called, you want to get a pen and paper, The Bible is Funny podcast. It's all down. The Bible is Funny. So it's all that stuff. The devotional book and the card game, fun card party game is all available. You can get it on my Instagram, but it's available on Amazon. And the card game is now at Barnes & Noble and Books A Million if you have one of those in your neighborhood.
Nice.
So
that's awesome. Definitely go get that game. It's a lot of fun for people of all ages, a lot of good laughs with your family. So that would be a great Christmas gift, a last-minute Christmas gift. Don't forget.
Last minute.
There's someone you were thinking of, what am I going to get them? It's this.
Oh,
it's
yes. This
game.
is perfect for that. It's going to seem like you put a little thought into it, but you don't have to think any more than just go get it.
Yep.
Go.
And they'll love it.
Probably got to get it at Barnes & Noble or Books A Million at this point. I wouldn't trust shipping.
Don't try shipping.
But yeah, great last minute gift.
Awesome. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for being on the show today, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much for having me. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to everybody listening, and Happy Christmas as well.
That was so fun. I love talking with other podcasters, and I love talking with people that are really funny. That was my cheeks still hurt from laughing. I love that part of Anthony's story was how he just started some things and God continued to grow that. And he wasn't even intentional about making something big, but God still knew what he wanted to do with Anthony's life. And here we are now. And I think it's true what Anthony said. It's really important to read the whole Bible and know all about it and discover new things about the lesser known parts of the Bible. I really enjoyed our conversation about Christmas carols and all the funny things that we sing year after year. And I was definitely inspired by this conversation about Christmas movies to go watch some more Christmas movies. I don't think I've seen Elf yet this year. Isn't that horrible? I need to go watch it because it's one of my favorite movies. Well, if you have a favorite Christmas movie, I hope that you get some time during this break to watch it with your family and laugh together and enjoy each other's company. Well, I highly recommend that you check out Anthony's card game, The Bible is Funny. It's such a fun game to play with kids and adults, and it will really help you discover new fun things about the Bible. And you'll get to laugh a lot too, which is what my family did. You can also check out his podcast and Instagram at The Bible is Funny. Well, now it's time for the kids only segment. This is the part of the show where you get to be on the podcast. So here is a really fun Christmas joke from my friend Evie.
What do snowmen eat for dessert? Ice Krispies.
Ice Krispies. I love it. That's a good one. I haven't heard that one before. Well, hey, if you would like to be like Evie and share your favorite joke or maybe a Bible verse that you love or a quote from a book or a movie, you can head over to my website, collidekidspodcast.com, and click the tab that says Kids Only, and you can record it right there. It's really easy to do, or you can send it to me through my social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at the Collide Kids Pod, and I would love for you to follow me there. You can also support the podcast by leaving a rating and a review. That means so much to me and really helps me out. And be sure to share this episode with friends and family and tell them why you like to listen. And anytime you think about it, I always appreciate your prayer support as well. Well, I hope you guys will tune in next week for the Kids Only episode, and I hope you have an amazing Christmas break. In case no one has told you today, I would love to be the first to remind you that God loves you so much. Thanks for listening.
You don't have to go very far looking for bad news because somehow it just finds you. So finding peace in the chaos can be really difficult, but it doesn't have to be because the River mobile app exists. The River is a Christian music radio station dedicated to playing music to help you get through life's toughest moments or life's happiest moments and everywhere in between, and all from artists who love Jesus and are real people just like you. Listening is easy. You can download it wherever you get apps from. Just search 1049 The River or listen online at riverradio.com. And know that The River is proud to partner with the Collide Kids podcast.